Nobody expected Alabama to target Nussmeier, but it's not the LSU QB, it's his brother Colton Nussmeier. How weird would that be? Let's break it down, but before we get to the news, subscribe to the channel to receive more Bama news. Alabama surprised once again in the recruiting, and this time they brought in a name that no one expected, a Nussmeier. But wait, we're not talking about Garrett, the current undisputed starter at LSU, but his younger brother, Colton Nussmeier. Weird? To some, it may be. But when you look deeper, this story makes a lot of sense. Colton is not only the brother of one of the SEC's top quarterbacks or the son of Doug Nussmeier, former Alabama offensive coordinator and current quarterbacks coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a rising talent, a 2027 prospect who's already drawing attention from several college football powerhouses, including Georgia, Auburn, and LSU. And now, Alabama has joined the fray. His connection to the Crimson Tide goes way back. As a kid, Colton was on the sidelines to watch his father help lead Alabama to a national title in 2012. He grew up watching the level of dedication and excellence required in Tuscaloosa. It shaped the way he views the game, and now, years later, Alabama itself sees him as a possible quarterback of the future. Nussmeier isn't just a big name, he's already shown real talent. In his first season as a starter at Marcus High School, he passed for 1,939 yards, 16 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. A QB who can read defenses, has mobility and a strong enough arm to put the ball wherever he wants. And that's exactly the kind of quarterback Nick Sheridan, the Tide's offensive coordinator, has been watching closely. Sheridan wasn't hasty. Alabama monitored him throughout last season before making the decision to offer him a spot. And when they finally did, Nussmeier's response was clear: it seemed awesome. A great program that takes football very seriously and wants to win. What's striking about this story is the family element. Colton's father coached at Alabama, but he's made it clear that he's not playing favorites in the recruiting game. The decision will be up to the player himself. But the fact that the Tide is involved in this race, even with his older brother at LSU, shows that Alabama isn't afraid to jump into any talent fight. The question now is, could Colton Nussmeier actually end up wearing a Bama jersey? His recruitment is still in its early stages, and other programs will be making a strong push. But for Alabama fans, the fact that the Tide is targeting Nussmeier is a shock in itself, and perhaps a sign that Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff are ready to recruit without looking back on past history. Alabama continues to show its strength in recruiting. And it showed interest in the recruit, Javarius Gare, a talented 4-star edge rusher in the class of 2027, who was named 5A Lineman of the Year in the state of Alabama. The honor is more than deserved for a player who dominated opponents in his sophomore season at Vigor High School, accumulating impressive numbers: 104 total tackles, 56 tackles for loss, and 21.5 sacks. A destructive force on defense who has already committed to the Crimson Tide and has everything to be a pillar of the team in the future. Gare's commitment to Alabama, sealed back in July, is a great asset for the team. He has already made several visits to Tuscaloosa and, by all indications, has no plans to change his mind. DeBoer's coaching staff sees him as a key piece for the coming years and is working to ensure his commitment remains firm until signing day. And it makes perfect sense. A dominant pass rusher like Gare is a valuable asset to any defense, especially at the SEC level, where physical play and quarterback pressure define championships. Of course, Auburn hasn't given up. The Tigers welcomed Gare last weekend for Junior Day and are still trying to lure the young talent to the Plains. But if there's one thing Alabama does well, it's keeping its promises and strengthening its roster with players who want to compete at the highest level. The program's track record speaks for itself. The Crimson Tide doesn't just recruit the best, it develops them to the highest level in the NFL. And it's hard to imagine a scenario in which Gare would trade this winning structure for anything else. Plus, Alabama continues to prove that it's still the state's biggest recruiting force. While Auburn tries to make up ground, the Crimson Tide remains dominant, attracting top talent and ensuring that the program's future remains bright. Gare has already demonstrated that he has a winning mentality, and his commitment to Alabama reflects that. Not only was his performance at Vigor High School statistically impressive, but it also shows that he already has the DNA of a player who can shine in Tuscaloosa. Gare's 5A Lineman of the Year award is just the beginning. He has a long road ahead of him, and with Alabama's structure, culture, and history, there is little doubt that he will become an important part of the team in the future. The work of Kalen DeBoer and his recruiting staff continues to be strong, keeping the Crimson Tide on top and ensuring that the state's best talent stays where it belongs, in Tuscaloosa. Let's keep moving forward. Has yet another recent offer from Alabama for Jacquez Wilkes, a four-star edge rusher in the class of 2026 who is currently shining at Wadley High School. And this is no ordinary offer. Wilkes grew up rooting for Alabama, his family is a fan of the program, and from what he himself has said, receiving this offer means a lot to him. This is exactly the type of player the Tide wants, an elite talent who already has the Tuscaloosa stamp on him before he even steps foot on campus. Wilkes is already among the most coveted prospects in the country. In addition to Alabama, he has offers from top programs like Auburn, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Miami. This only reinforces how much his talent is already attracting national attention. But what really stands out is his versatility on the field. He is not only a dominant defender, he is a true all-around player at Wadley. At the collegiate level, Wilkes has made an impact on both sides of the ball, displaying the athleticism and game intelligence that make him a valuable asset to any team. However, his future in college football lies at the edge rusher position, where his explosiveness and ability to hunt down quarterbacks make him a nightmare for any opposing offensive line. If anyone still doubts Wilkes' impact, look no further than his 2024 season. Not only did he help lead Wadley to the Class 1A state title, he did so in dominant fashion, rushing for 312 yards and 5 touchdowns on 38 carries. It shows the type of complete athlete he is. He doesn't just play, he decides games. And that's exactly the kind of competitor Alabama is always looking for. Now, Wilkes' recruitment enters a new stage. With an offer from Alabama in hand, it will be interesting to see how he handles the onslaught of other programs. Auburn, for example, has been aggressive in trying to keep top talent in state, but recent history speaks in favor of the Crimson Tide. When Alabama decides a player is a priority, the result usually goes in Tuscaloosa's favor. In addition, there is another factor that weighs heavily in this type of recruitment: tradition and development. Alabama has built an unquestionable reputation for being a factory for elite defenders, especially at the edge rusher position. Players like Will Anderson Jr., Dallas Turner, and so many others have come through the Tide's system and left ready for the NFL. Wilkes knows this. He knows that if his goal is to become one of the best in the country and, eventually, a high-level professional, there is no better place than Alabama to hone his talent. The work of Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff continues at full speed. Ensuring that the best players in the state remain with the Crimson Tide is one of the pillars of keeping the Alabama dynasty intact. And with Wilkes, this story has everything to follow the already known script: a local talent, an irresistible offer, and a promising future wearing the Bama jersey. Let's go! Ben Jarvius Shoemaker, a powerful four-star defensive lineman from Choctaw County High School in Ackerman, Mississippi, has received an offer from Alabama and has made no secret of his gratitude for the recognition. In an increasingly competitive landscape where the best programs in the country compete for every elite talent, the Tide is once again making a point of being at the forefront of ensuring that one of the best in the class ends up in Tuscaloosa. Shoemaker is one of those prospects who attracts attention from an early age. Still a sophomore in high school, he is already considered one of the top defensive linemen in his class. And the numbers speak for themselves. He has accumulated offers from Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Florida State, and now Alabama. In other words, the Southern Giants know they are dealing with a special player, someone capable of making an immediate impact when he reaches the college level. The offer from the Crimson Tide, in addition to recognition, is a strategic move. Mississippi has always been a hotbed for SEC recruiting, and ensuring that a talent of that caliber looks to Tuscaloosa as his best option is key to keeping Alabama's defensive foundation solid for years to come. The Tide's track record of developing defensive linemen, with names that have excelled in both college football and the NFL, speaks for itself. And Shoemaker knows it. The young talent expressed his gratitude for the offer, indicating that Alabama's offer was not just another one on his growing list of options. That kind of response is what a program like Alabama seeks, players who understand the weight of the opportunity and value what it means to wear the Crimson Tide uniform. There's still a long way to go in Shoemaker's recruitment, but it's hard to ignore the unique position Alabama has in this race. Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, as Shoemaker's home state programs, will certainly continue to push for him to stay closer to home. But when Alabama enters the fray, the game changes. The Tide not only offers the opportunity to compete at the highest level of college football, but also a proven track record of preparing for the next level. With Kalen DeBoer at the helm and a highly skilled coaching staff, Alabama continues to bolster its defense with the best talent in the country. Shoemaker's recruitment will be a closely watched battle, but one thing is clear: the Crimson Tide is wasting no time when it comes to strengthening its defensive front. Do you think the recruit will come to Bama? Let us know.